And good evening everyone who is watching the stream of ID Arrives on Air, and welcome to finally, I hope this is going to be the final stream of building that PC. So without further ado, let's start building it. First, let's start with the motherboard, the one of course, and the CPU, the ones that we had some fun yesterday. So we got attach the CPU cooler back, and I think that's good enough for the start. So then we will switch to the case. So here's the fans. So we have the fans and we have the radiator itself. So want to move a little bit faster today because there's going to be quite some cable management there. I know it already. So the components, yeah, just skipping this jingle. So the components have been tested many times. All sorts of load tests, like crazy loads, lighter loads, different memory speeds, Well, I didn't test overclocking because the system is not capable of just the cooler is not capable of handling any overclocking. So, but in 2 words, yeah. And we even tested it yesterday with this new CPU mounting bracket. So, and this is just pretty much where we are going to assemble it in a case. You can actually find you can actually watch me disassembling it a couple days ago, more than a couple days ago. So the same case, pretty much everything the same, just the motherboard, the CPU and memory that is different now. So Thermal Grizzlies crying out extreme, the best, I think, thermal compound out there. It has a very high how to say it right, thermal conductivity value, so probably the highest one out there, just the higher. If you want something with better thermal conductivity, it's only liquid metal. So I have a little bit of it left. I bought it to replace my video card from AliExpress. That actually turned out to be a good video card. Just replacing it with good thermal paste decreased its temperatures a little bit. So let's see if I have enough of this thermal compound. It looks like we have enough. So again, it's crying out, doesn't mean it's only for below zero overclocking, liquid nitrogen overclocking, anything like that. Doesn't mean it at all. Every CPU gets hot, even under liquid nitrogen, so every paste supposed to be able to handle like everything up to even more than 100 degrees Celsius, and this one is able to handle pretty low temperature on top of that, well, below that actually. So this thingy here actually doesn't let me to spread it properly. This one is a little bit less thicker than the one the MX5 that I used yesterday, that I used for testing. So and the pattern we actually discovered after applying and then removing the cooler yesterday suggested that this frame actually corrects the CPU bending problem. So, and it pretty evenly pressures on the, creates pressure on the CPU lid, and the thermal paste kind of spreads the way it's supposed to. So, okay, let's see if I can just add a little bit more, just to be on the safe side. The amount I added already is enough. I'm just going to apply it, and if everything works and it's supposed to work, I'm going to forget about it for the next probably 5 years. Probably, because I absolutely hate to do anything to my main rig, and this is my main rig. This is slightly better. Yeah, this one is a little bit thicker than I expected. hard to get it covering the sides of the CPU. It will probably end up just getting pushed out there by the pressure, but still, just in case. And as you may know, the CPU, the actual crystal itself, the actual scene itself, the CPU, it's in the middle, in the very middle, and relatively small compared to the lid, the IHS, so-called IHS, integral or integrated heat spreader. Yeah, so I'm doing this stupid job here because it is a larger CPU, not your standard rectangular Intel. This is a larger case. So, and with everything that's larger, it is recommended to actually spread it manually. But again, if the pressure is applied properly, it's not supposed to be a problem at all. Let's at least get the corners, and let's see if we have any pockets. So no, it's good enough. It's supposed to be good enough. I'm just going to grab, just for a second, going to grab a toothpick and drop what's left on this tool in the middle of the CPU. Just a second, just a second. So I really hope this is the final application, and we are done with it for good. We will be done with it for good. Out of focus. Like this. That's better. Still out of focus. That's better. Curious if it's even possible to drop in there. No, it's too sticky. Okay, this thing is expensive compared to other stuff, even compared to MX5. So, but yeah, I guess there's a reason for that. Thermal conductivity of it. So I'm using actually all the tricks for just increasing the thermal conductivity of the CPU slash CPU cooler interface. So the better bracket, the better mounting bracket, the better the best thermal compound. Okay, now let's drop the cooler on. So here we go, sits there perfectly. So there is only 2 screws, and I just realized that because there's only 2 screws, keeping this cooler down, pretty much pressing it to the surface of the CPU lid, and because the surface of the contact plate of the cooler is rectangular, it is actually impossible to use it in other direction than horizontal. So unfortunately you cannot use it in a horizontal position. We mounted it in that position yesterday, but you cannot use it like that. There's no way to use it like that, because rectangular contact plate, rectangular CPU, and they won't align if you put it in a vertical orientation. They'll be just they'll form a cross pretty much, not a solid contact. They will only contact in the middle. So again, tightening it down, walking it down just in small increments, and I always end up walking down that one for some reason. The upper one for some reason not as good as the lower one, so I kinda unlock them and then unwalk them, and then walk them down again, trying to apply to make the tension as even as possible. Here we go. So now it's there. Let's put on the fans, and there will be actually the first episode. It will be the first episode of cable management. So here we go. You cannot really see it. Yeah, because the vertical camera, of course, the overhead camera is not aligned with the horizontal with the, well, side camera. Okay, so one goes here like that. So you can actually yeah, we can move it a little bit up even. It's better to do it just slightly higher, because the fan is a little bit larger, it's a little bit taller than the radiator. So to have it completely 100% leveled this way, yeah, cannot see my hand. So here we go, left and right, everything's even. Now this one sits a little bit higher than the middle one because of the memory. Cannot let them touch the memory. Not a good thing. Here we go. There is like couple millimeters of gap. One of the planks looks like it's not fully in, but it is. Yesterday everything was fully in. Okay, now the cable management of the fans. Very dark side. And again, we lose focus every time I touch any ring on the lens. Here we go, at least you can see something here. So the good and smart thing would be, of course, to run both of these coolers from one CPU cooler header. But CPU cooler header is only one, and but we have two fans here, so that's why there is this contraption, which is actually again pretty long. So we will have to get it all together and make it as short as possible. That's the first round, micro preliminary round of cable management. So here we have this scene. So I'm thinking just doing it more or less even like that. Yeah. And then let me get the zip ties right away. Just a bunch of them here. So so this goes like this, and then this goes like this. Okay, it's got turned. So as tight as possible, because these small cables, they're probably the most annoying ones. So what if we do it like this? Doesn't really look that good. So trying to make it look as good as possible. So let me rebend it then. Like this.
This is Lounge FM.
Then like this. And something, maybe like this. And then is there enough length? Let's just move this a little bit forward. Yeah, something like this. Okay. So the first round of cable managing, and it goes, where's the CPU one? CPU fan. Come on, I cannot even plug it in anymore. And it goes there. So kind of just staying in place thanks to the tension of the cables and the rigidity of them. Okay, that's one. So the motherboard is done. Ah, no, 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 no. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I forgot. I totally forgot. I keep forgetting about them. The hard drive, the SSD. But we still can add it, of course. We don't need to remove the cooler. There is still access. The SSD, the main SSD. That's going to... That is actually already having my system on it. Okay, just give me a sec. Getting the right screwdriver for the job. So as you can see, I made myself a problem, but a solvable one. So already we have already prepared the thermal pad, remove the protective film there, because we already used that slot for testing. So, and here's my 1 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO Plus. Goes in there. 1 terabyte, my main hard drive. That pretty much keeps the system and the games on, and nothing else. So there is like a small nice lock here that I don't actually know how to use. I know. So there is now a special lock. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's out of focus again. So a microscopic lock, actually. Here you can see it. Up. Pretty interesting thing. Up. And it's locked. Sorry for that episode of very shaky camera. Here we go. Looks more or less focused. Okay. Now the only thing left is to apply the radiator with its thermal pad to the slot. Here we go. One screw goes in there. Don't fall out. Like that. Actually stops pretty soon by the feeling of it. And another screw goes in there. Here we go. This has some actually distance to walk down. This almost no distance. Okay, now the motherboard is ready. The motherboard is ready now. The cooler, the drive, everything seemed to be in place. So let's start working on the case. Let's put this aside. Let's bring the case in. Move this small, I don't know, object of furniture. Don't know its name. So now this is going to be a little bit hard to fit in the frame without playing with zoom like this. Okay. Here we have some focus here, and this one. Just to have another view, another angle. Close the aperture a little bit. So manual camera work here on this channel. That's how we do things. Okay, more or less. So first of all, we had some coolers here, and now it's time to install them back. I think this is the first thing to do. This is going to be the first thing to do, to install these coolers, because otherwise I might forget about them. But the very first thing you're supposed to do every time you go and take the case for your build, well, when you play with the motherboard, test it on the bench and whatnot, doesn't matter. But when you start actually working on the case, the first thing is this thing, the back panel plate. I keep forgetting the name for it. So the back motherboard panel, if you forget to install it in its whole, it's just, that's probably the only part that it's 100% impossible to install later without disassembling half or pretty much all of the PC. So the thing about the fans is that I don't really like installing the fans that are outside, because you can break the blades of them. So, but we definitely can start working on the fans that are inside. So we have two slots for fans here, but this one is going to be pretty much taken. This one, it's for the fan of the power supply unit, and this one is for the fan of hard drives. But this place here is going to be, since I already have built PC in this case, well, my main rig, well, pretty much this is my main rig, so the previous components, this is going to be taken by the cables coming out of the power supply unit. Where is my phone? Huh? How the hell did I even start the stream without my phone? Here we go. Here we go. Okay, just give me a sec. Checking once in here. So let's start adding the fans to the picture. I have black screws, not probably enough of them for screwing in the fans, and since I'm obsessed with everything being done the same way, I'm even checking how the screws look to pick the ones that are of the same type. They are pretty much all black, all have the same Phillips hole in them, but on some of them Phillips I don't know, cross is a little bit smaller. So this is of course not the right way. I want this fan to intake air from under the case. The case itself is raised on these stands, and that's why there is always place for getting some air. I don't really need to think where to mount it to. I can see marks from the previous fan, and this is a different fan that the one I removed from here earlier when I disassembled everything. This is a different one. The one that I removed, it was a mistake to have that one because it was high airflow fan, not high pressure, high static pressure fan. And since we have a little bit of grill here, I'd say, and it's kind of like down in under everything, and it's going to blow into the hard drive's cage. It's better to use static pressure fan, the fan with pretty much larger blades. So just like that. That's intake from here, and exhaust up there. Oops. Wrong orientation. Might be actually hard to reach the slot on the motherboard. Let me take a look at the motherboard, not the slot, the header. Do we have headers anywhere nearby? Looks like there's enough length. Yeah, won't reach. There's a couple of fan headers on the bottom part of the motherboard. So, but they are towards the back of the case more. This one got stuck. Here we go. So we need it oriented this way to have the fan cable as close to the back wall as possible. Okay. I'm going to use all 4 screws, yeah, just like that. So what I'm building here is going to be a positive pressure case. So there will be 3 intake fans and only 1 exhaust fan. And I'm actually not sure even about that exhaust fan. The best way to place it either here or here, but I'm just thinking about facilitating the airflow provided by the CPU cooler, which is horizontal in this case. The best, of course, in my opinion, would be vertical CPU cooler airflow, and then facilitating that airflow would be just using an exhaust fans on the top of the case, not even touching that part. But yeah, it is what it is. The cooler I have only can be mounted horizontally, so be it. Okay, I'm going to put the cooler here. So I have like 3 gray ones and 1 black one. So let's use from the build. Let's use the gray ones then. 2 here, 1 here. So going to be here like this. Willie, good evening, welcome. You are the first one in the chat tonight. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? So 3 intake, 1 exhaust. Let's mount the intake one, the exhaust one. So again, I am not using water cooling. I decided to, several years ago I decided to give it a break. The like component water cooling, custom water cooling, the one that where you cut the pipes, cut the tubing, buy the pump, buy the reservoir, buy the blocks, water blocks. That one's too expensive for me, basically. I wouldn't mind trying that, but I feel like with my needs that type of cooling is not the best one, because I actually, well, I mean, I have enough PCs here, but I end up doing something to my PC, like at least connecting different hard drives for testing and whatnot. I end up doing it quite often. So, which is, I don't know, I will try to avoid it. I'm pretty much going to have a spare PC for these type of activities and fun. So the PC that right now is streaming, that's going to be a fully functional and pretty much gaming ready spare PC with a video card, with 10 core Xeon, Chinese motherboard, 16, 24 gigs of RAM, maybe 24, 3 sticks, and that GTX 1080 that I'm not getting rid of, I'm keeping it. I will remember the GPU shortage for the rest of my life, so I'm just keeping that GPU. Just, I don't know, till it's simply too late to sell it, even as an antique. So now 2 fans here like that. Oh, I mounted the wrong fan here. see this fan. I don't know if you cannot see this fan. Already prepared to be mounted next to the in this here, next to the motherboard. Already cable managed. Let me take a look at the motherboard. Do I have even a header there? I have a header there. Yeah. Instead of cable managing the fan, I'm just going to remount it. Well, I mean, what the hell? They don't have arrows, and this one seemed to be managed in cable managed, yeah, but in a pretty different way. It was like an intake fan. I don't get it. Do these fans have different orientation? Doesn't look like it.
Continues to work thanks to this advertisement, which was purchased by our listeners. It helps us work and fill radio space with quality and wonderful lounge music.
I'm a little bit confused.
Help us continue broadcasting.
Why is this fan cable managed like this on its exhaust side? What the hell? This supposed to be the intake side. What was my very first computer? Long story. Very long story. Okay, I'm going to test these fans because the way they are mounted, the way this fans cable managed is really confusing me, like extremely confusing. Like it's actually the direction of airflow is opposite compared to the direction of airflow is opposite compared to other fans. So let me just test it. I have another open PC running here. Just a second. No. Everything the way it's supposed to be with this fan. Nothing confusing. It's blowing in the right direction. I don't understand though why it's managed like that. Cable managed. So give me a second to fix this then. Pretty tightly managed, by the way. So, my first computer that was my own personal was a very bad Russian copy of ZX Spectrum called Aptron M. The thing about ZX Spectrums in Russia, that everything happened here later, and at the same time already I knew about PC. I knew about like I've had quite some experience with PC. 286 at that moment, Probably, yeah. Quite late. I actually got my Aptron in 1994, so it was like Pentiums were coming out back then in 1994. So, well, I mean, if not like getting the release, then it was close. So, and I had to settle on that computer because literally we had no money. We've never been like a wealthy family, and getting a PC back then, it was, well, the whole country was poor. Getting a PC, only very rich people could afford that back then. So, but I had quite some experience with PCs because my stepfather, who taught me a lot about computers in general, he just was working with them, so on everyday basis. So that was at least something. But again, back to that very bad Russian copy of ZX Spectrum. I knew nothing about like purchasing my own ZX Spectrum back then, so I pretty much saw it on a literally, like, imagine like bazaar. Yeah, so that was a place to buy things, rare things in Norris back then. Well, of course we had stores and whatnot, but things like these computers that were kinda like, well, the Spectrums, they were like consumer PCs, consumer computers. So stuff like that you could only purchase on a pretty much market. So nowhere else. Am I doing something wrong? They're not supposed to go inside, right? They are not supposed to go inside. They're supposed to go outside. Just give me a second. If I'm just mounting them. No, there's enough space for them. They're supposed to be mounted here. Yeah, I forgot how they were initially mounted. Just like will they mount it inside or outside? Yeah, the case is nice. Yeah, the case is quite future proof. Oh, that's not right. The case is big enough to actually house one of the modern gigantic video cards. So just like that. Can I even close it this way? Am I going crazy here? Did I have them inside or outside? Okay, I'm just going to take a look at one of my previous, well, the disassembling stream. Just give me a second. I'm going a little bit crazy. I'm not trusting myself. So that bad Russian copy of ZX Spectrum, I mean, back then I absolutely didn't know anything about Russian copies of ZX Spectrum. that are barely holding there. Okay, the fans are inside. The fans are inside and I'm stupid. Let me show it to you. Just a second. I tried to mount them outside of the case, but they are actually inside. Here's the picture. The fans are inside and I'm stupid. So and I kind of felt it because there's like a sort of uneven surface here. You're not supposed to mount your fans like that. So since I didn't know anything about copies of ZX Spectrum, I ended up buying a very crappy copy. That's how I learned about overheating and, well, problems that overheating actually introduces to the electronics. Pretty early. Back then, even like PC CPUs, they did not have coolers. It was all passive, or the only fan that was that you would encounter normally in a PC case. That was where's the crap? That was a power supply unit fan. So back then. And of course that Aptron didn't have any fans, and I encountered that problem pretty fast. The bloody thing would work only for like 30 minutes or something, and then it would just restart and or hang or crash, and in general become unstable. So, and it took me, of course, back then I didn't know anything about overheating, didn't know anything about cooling, but it took me, I think, a year to figure out that the bloody thing was just crashing because of overheating. I immediately fixed that. I actually had a fan. Back then, fans like that, they weren't really common, especially in Russia. So, and yeah, I knew nothing about like electronic components stores. So, but I happened to have a big metal fan from big Russian mainframe machine. So, and I, without even disassembling the case, and the case was a keyboard of that ZX Spectrum. Without even disassembling the case, I just kinda raised that keyboard. I put it like on some stands, so it became a little bit more vertical. Well, just slightly raised from the surface of the desk, and I just put the fan behind it like that. So, and that was enough to fix the problem. So I learned about proper cooling very early. So when nobody even thought about, like, for example cooling a PC CPU. So there is that. The other problem is that bad copy of ZX Spectrum was the floppy disk drive. ZX Spectrums, they have their own standard floppy disk operating system called TR-DOS. It's like a very common thing. It's a standard de facto for ZX Spectrum in the whole ZX Spectrum world. So, but of course, that machine had something invented by absolutely crazy former Soviet Russian engineers, and that wasn't the pretty much the floppy drives, the floppy disks weren't compatible with TR-DOS, and you couldn't read TR-DOS drives on that bad copy of ZX Spectrum. And of course I learned that all only after several months of using it. So that was extremely discouraging, let's put it that way. So now we need to route this, actually, just before we forget about it, route them to the back. And this is not supposed to be that hard. There's a hole just right there, and it doesn't look like it's just big enough. Okay. So routing these two fan cables to the back of the case, not because I'm going to have a fan controller there, it's just going to be routed through the back towards the motherboard, like this here, something. So I'm already preparing the right route for them, like something like this. And then something like this through this hole to the motherboard. Okay, so we have this mounted. So we have the fans, all fans are mounted. So let's put back the drive cage, and there is a special shroud for this fan. And then the cage goes on top of that shroud. So it's supposed to be one, two, three, four, five. Can you hear me? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Back. Can you hear me now?
Lounge FM Chill Out. The best relaxing music.
So we got disconnected for a second. And thank you, Crimson Zamboni, and welcome to the stream. And this is my brand new, well, it's not brand new, the cable's the same, the company is the same, the plan is different. Now it's 300 megabit plan. So, and probably it's a different network port on the network thingy. So are we back on YouTube? I'm curious. So are we? Yeah, we are back on YouTube. Good. So there is a strange guy in my YouTube channel that joins my YouTube channel to just say one word, butter. Have no idea what's going on with him. So I'm not going to figure that out. So the shroud for the intake fan on the lower panel of bottom of the case, and it is actually the bottom of the hard drive cage here. So this is supposed to be what the actual hell? You cannot see it, but it's tilted. How am I supposed to mount it? This way it's not tilted, but then there's no holes for the screws in the front part of it. Let me just... Yeah, I am stupid. Officially don't remember how to assemble this case. Good that we have everything recorded when I disassembled it. Let me take a look. I will have... So the way the shroud was mounted. Just give me a second. Here we go. Okay. So the thing like these shrouds, additional thingies and whatnot, they're all of course different in every case. And well, it's probably not supposed to be to stay unmounted for like the long time. Here it is gone already. Where did I remove it? When did I remove it? Already removed. And here the whole cage of hard drives is still inside. Just give me a second. Okay, I can see the way it is originally mounted. So this side forward, but then it gets tilted. And it's not supposed to be tilted because it's it has the same height of sides. It's not supposed to be like that. Maybe I just didn't put it in properly. So this is the front holes aligned. Okay, let's try to fix it. Okay, the front pans are mounted properly. So another problem with this case, it uses several kinds of screws. Not the threading of them is different. They all look like just standard Imperial PC screws, but the length of them, and it's not a good thing. Okay, then there should be two in the back. Haha, only one though. There's literally hole for only one. There's no second hole here, only one here. Okay. Like this. And now it's time to mount the hard drive cage. So this, as far as I can tell, supposed to be just slit on the shroud. This way, probably. Yeah. Like this. So this cable here, do we need to route it somewhere? We cannot really. Just looking for the best way to direct it. So no special hole for that one. So I guess it stays just here. Come on, get locked in there. Here we go. So, and now it has two screws on the back to be fixed in place. Hey, only one screw. Am I hallucinating or something? Probably, because I remember unscrewing like 4 screws back on the back of the case to actually remove the shroud with the lower fan shroud with the hard drive cage attached to it. Did I do something wrong? But I'm not seeing actually pair holes. There's no like pair hole here. There's no pair hole here. Okay. So we have this now going on here. So I think maybe let's remove this cage for 5.25 drives and, well, accessories, because it will be a little bit easier to install motherboard without them. And then we will put it back because I have a use for them for both of these 5.25 inch base. And this is actually where the case uses the short screws. And I think you're supposed to actually first take the bay out, mount your device in the bay, and then just put the bay in the case. That's the logic of installing 525 things in their base in this case. So these days there's a ton of cases. It's like a thing to produce cases without 5.25 the inch base, but I actually use them. So not for optic drives, that I stopped using quite some time ago, even though I have enough of them still. So the motherboard. And one thing about modern motherboards is that the additional CPU power, so two 4-pin connectors, one 8-pin connector, two 8-pin connectors, a combination of 4-pin and 8-pin, they end up being in this corner of the motherboard, and they are almost impossible to properly reach when the motherboard is mounted and you have fans, especially if you have fans there. So these days I prefer to mount to plug in those cables before installing and screwing in the motherboard. So pretty much adding the motherboard, putting the motherboard in the case with those cables already plugged in and routed through the case. Okay, let's take a look what's with the holes here. Do we have all the standoffs in the proper places? It looks like we do have them in the proper places. So let's see. Just looking at the standoffs. Everything is right. Technically, right now in this configuration, it is possible to reach these headers for the additional power and plug the cables. So, but let's do it still in advance. Going to be a little bit not easy, but we can figure that out. So here we have a modular power supply cables here. So that's one, and that's another one. CPU. Let's just route them through the hole here, just like this. So then away, move the motherboard close enough here orient them properly. And plug them in. Holding the motherboard just with my hand. Here we go, one's in. And another one's in. Okay. Now letting them slide through. They are very rigid, especially at the end, where they covered in that thermal shrink. That's pretty thick, but we will readjust them a little bit later. Now we have the motherboard more or less aligned on the stands off. And we need black, of course we need black motherboard screws. Just give me a second. I have a bunch of them. Here we go. So, and the standoffs that are actually already installed in this case, they use, for some unknown to me reason, not imperial but metric screws for the motherboard. Usually 99% of the cases, the standoffs for the motherboard, they have metric thread in them. Not these ones though. So there's one that's really hard to reach in this corner, but I'm still going to try to put it in because I'm that type of person. And it is not threading properly. I know it was cross threading. Here we go. Just like that. Lose it a little bit, loosen it a little bit to let the motherboard move slightly. Oops. Just a second. Have a problem. Started sweating. Sweating on the motherboard, it's not a good practice. 1080p stream quality, yeah, because there's not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of movement. 1080p, 30 frames per second, because the cameras are 30 frames per second. It's 100% legit thing to do. So it's all black, yeah, it's all like in one color, black. So but this stream goes to Twitch with encoded at 6000 kilobits per second, but the YouTube version of the stream goes to YouTube at 15,000 kilobits per second. So it's supposed to look a little bit better on YouTube. not only they are metric for some reason, they actually, every time I try to screw them in, they try to cross thread, which is pretty annoying. So yeah, but I've been streaming 1080p. I've been streaming these creative DIY streams in 1080p. I've been streaming GeoGuessr in 1080p. GeoGuessr has some movement, yeah, there's that, but it's like not a lot. Not that important. Okay. On the second camera we have pretty nice view as well. Forgot to turn it on. So time to put in the last screw and tighten them all. So the motherboard's in there. The power supply is not there, but well, I mean, that's not a big deal. There's enough space for the power supply. Okay, fixing the motherboard finally. Oh, there is front panel USB. I didn't see it. Front panel USB-C. So I don't have a front panel header for that. Only standard USB 3 stuff. I forgot one last screw. Just a second. The top middle one. Here we go. That one's done. So I already can see a small problem. There's no fan headers in here, and there's only 2 fan headers down here. There's a bunch of them here. I'm not sure the cables from these fans can reach these fan headers. So let's take a look. Now we got to be a little bit more careful with the case, because we have the huge the motherboard with a huge fan on it installed. There's a huge CPU cooler. So if only we just put them diagonally, which I absolutely hate to do. You cannot probably see it. I'm just thinking about routing them. Or we can route them. Do they even reach diagonally or not? Well, they do reach, but literally like in that diagonal manner only. Like you cannot see it. So they technically can be daisy chained, but in this case I don't really need this. Or I can use just one header on the motherboard to plug it. In this case it doesn't matter if they fed from one header or two different ones. So, but can they reach sys? Can they reach sysfan 1? I'm just curious. Oh yeah, this one can. So again, you know me, I'm a little bit like that. So, and if it reaches sysfan 1, then I just daisy chain them. Can you hear the sound problems? That cracking. The music, I mean. Is there something wrong with my sound? Please tell me right away. I'm not sure if it's like my USB earbuds or if it's like the actual music, actual stream sound. So, okay, the front fans are going to be then sysfan 1. Don't hear any cracking. Okay. Thank you for the info. So I'm going to just give me a second. I'm going to create a document. And write it down. Front panel fans sysfan 1. So now there's something going on with my USB camera. That was 100% in the stream. Okay.
You are listening to Lounge FM Chill Out.
Just give me a short second. Short second. Just like that. So, sysfan 1. Let's check if I did get the... Yes, header name properly, sysfan 1. The next that's empty, the next one that's empty there, you cannot see it, but it's there. It's a water pump header. So, and the lower one, then will go like here, which is going to be, oh yeah, another amazing problem to solve. Fan 4. Not long enough to be routed properly. Amazing. Okay, I need a short break. Give me a second, and we will continue.
Lounge FM continues to work thanks to this advertisement, which was purchased by our listeners. It helps us work and fill radio space with quality and wonderful lounge music. Any amount of money will help us continue broadcasting. If you want to join in supporting your favorite radio station, go to the official website loungefm.com.ua and click on the banner to find out how you can help. Go to the official website loungefm.com.ua and click on the banner to find out how you can help.
And I'm back. Thank you for waiting for me. So I was waiting like a pig, and I just needed a second to drive myself off. What's going on? There's something going on with the cameras now. Now I can hear the sound coming from somewhere. Where's it coming from? I can hear myself talking. Where's it coming from? I can hear myself talking. Okay, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Still coming from somewhere. What the actual hell? Can you hear any echo? Can you hear any echo? Where's it coming from? No echo here? Like my voice. Okay. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Uh-huh. I can see. I fixed it. Shouldn't be a problem anymore. Because I restarted my YouTube video page on my second PC, and the music is currently coming from my second PC. So the same pretty much channel. The same input was receiving the stream sound. Pretty quiet, but yeah, enough to actually be audible. Okay. The next is going to be the power supply, I think. And then routing all the important and less important cables. So power and SATA and front panel USB and whatnot. So we can of course start from this side, because why not? We've done that before. Well, gotta be ready to listen to things at a pretty big volume, and I actually always have my headphones really loud, but it's just to be able to hear really quiet things. So that's how that's how I roll usually. Here we go. Like this. So that's routed through this hole. Then these two cables here, that's a little bit harder. Just like that. So properly routed them through that hole that you cannot see because everything's too dark. So, and then this will go here and here. Are you trying to tell me there's not enough length now? So if routed like that, yeah, looks like not enough length this way. Did it, was it longer? So I will have to cut a couple corners in routing this here, managing this here. But I guess, well, oh, the most annoying thing, the front panel buttons and LEDs connector. That thing, totally forgot about it. So let's see how to route these ones here. Probably through this hole, because no, front panel USB 3 goes here. Front panel USB 3. Front panel USB 3. This untangling everything here. This hole is already filling up pretty fast.
This is Lounge FM Web Radio.
So going to bend it bending it already pretty seriously, because it's not only, yeah, it looks like maybe we need a little bit different approach, like from here over the motherboard power cable, like this. So for this to look like neat and not hanging out there, so then the rest of it, front panel USB 2, then front panel audio that I never use, and of course the motherboard front panel, like headers for the lights and buttons. This stuff is all located on the all headers for that stuff, all located down there, lower part of the motherboard. So let's do it one by one then. So it's easier to do it right now while we don't have the power supply unit here. With the power supply, it will be harder to reach this lower part of the motherboard. So, and I will have to use these motherboard USB, this USB 3 and this USB 2 headers for additional USB ports on the back planks, just because I actually use a ton of USB. For example, I have two USB audio interfaces, two USB audio cards, plus printer, plus keyboard, piano keyboard that's disconnected currently, but still keyboard, normal keyboard and mouse, and two cameras one of the cameras connected to the front panel right now, but the second one usually connected to the back panel USB. So front panel audio, yeah, I have it. I mean, I have the header, I have the cable. Like, maybe I need it one day, but I'm not using onboard audio. I have an audio card for that. Two, actually. The audio, yeah. Always far away from everything. So normally you would like route this horizontally here, like this, but this is too short. We actually can make it longer now and fix all our problems here. But there's no way to send it to the back of the case. No, there is. There is. I have an extension cable, so it's probably time to use it. It's not especially long, but it will do. It's in black and sleeved. Let me actually take a look if I have maybe something mustard colored more suitable for that stuff. No, these are splitters. Splitters. The extenders I have, they are only black sleeved ones. Okay. There's that then. So, and then we send it back here. Like this. Like this. I don't know if I can see it. If you can see anything, tell me. And then we send it to the front with the whole bunch of cables. And then we will be able to get it all together. So the front panel fan is going to be the front panel. The bottom fan is going to be CIS4. So let me actually write it down. Bottom fan. Oh, I cannot type anymore. CIS fan 4, because I want actually I will try to change fan curves. I will adjust them pretty much. So, but to just open the case and look for which fans connected to which headers, yeah, I won't be doing that for sure. So there's two SATA here. I think need them, at least one of them, because one SATA goes here, one SATA goes, oh sorry, you cannot see it. So one SATA goes here to one hard drive cage rack, what's called a front panel hard drive cage basically. So one SATA goes here to another one. There's two, one for 3.5 inch drives and one for 2.5 inch drives. Two different drive racks. So then 1, 2, 3 SATA goes here. The third one's not going to be used, but I will route it there and I will keep it in there. So, and then we will have only one left here. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Only one here, and that one I just will probably keep in the case as a free cable to be able to plug in something. Well, technically I won't need it. I have external SATA cradle on a separate SATA controller. I have two in the front, so maybe I don't need actually to have anything inside the case. Like one cradle that takes either one 3.5 inch drive or 2.5 inch drive, and two racks here, one for 3.5, one for 2.5, working absolutely separately, separate things. Okay, yeah, probably not going to need it. But 3 SATA goes here, 2 SATA goes here, so pretty much. Okay, sorry, that was my mic. Some cables are routed more or less. So the big one, the big boy. The big boy is going to be like the stem of everything here. And front panel connectors. And these I actually absolutely love. So I have a feeling that with this motherboard it's going to be less clean on the back of the case. Actually, when I disassembled it, I noticed that the last time I did this job, I did it very well. I mean, patting myself on the back, but it was clean on the back, really. It's not going to be that clean this time. So I cannot route these cables here through these holes because there's going to be a shroud here. The whole lower part of it is not going to be available, not going to be reachable. So separate compartment here, and this is separate compartment. So front panel motherboard connector JFP1, and you need glasses to actually read it. Power, reset, and power LED, HD LED, reset, and power. Yeah, JFP1. Okay, not that bad. So first of all, power and hard drive. Hard drive's the lower, power is the higher. Where's the second? Where's the minus? Separated connector. Not really that convenient in this case. So when the pins are separated, but I guess in some in some cases you gotta keep them separated. So hard drive cannot see where the plus is. The positive is there. And then power is the upper one, and the reset is the lower one. Reset, reset, reset. No. Here we go. Whew. So premium motherboards, they have like special adapters for connecting that stuff, but this motherboard is not premium. Going to give you a little bit of headache. Here you go. Everything is black and hard to see, but here's the connector. So hey there, what about the sound, the beeper, the brzyczek, as they call them, in Poland, I think. Just a second. Just like this. Phew. Found JFP2. JFP2 is the speaker. Speaker plus, speaker minus. JFP2. JFP2. Okay. Where is the speaker? I had a really small one. Here it is. Found it. So I don't know if the speaker it's from this case or is it a separate scene, but here's my really microscopic PC speaker, good enough to count beeps. We don't need more. JFP2. Polarity of a PC speaker, it's a very, in this case, arbitrary thing, because it doesn't actually change, it doesn't actually, wrong polarity connection doesn't prevent it from working. But it might sound a little bit quieter. Depends on the design of the speaker, which is absolutely not important in case of just PC beeper. So, okay, we have everything connected on the from the front panel. Routed motherboard power. We have one fan not connected. Oh boy. Oh boy. Is this even possible to connect over there? Well, using tweezers probably. Using tweezers. Or from the top like this. Okay. And I will need, of course, to manage this cable separately. Like this probably. Oh boy. Okay. So there's one scene that's left here is the power supply, and I think we got to install the power supply because we cannot figure out the length of the cables without actually being able to connect everything to the PSU. So our PSU that I've been using for 6 years in this case is a Corsair RM850i, and I think actually this one should be 100% okay, not only just with this CPU, and I remind you this is 13700K, but it should be pretty much enough with something like 4090. So as far as I understand, Corsair actually produces the custom power cable for newer GPUs, so you can order it from them. So, or you can use just adapters, but a separate cable would be better. There is like 1, 2, 3. There's just enough actually PCIe and CPU CPU power headers here. So 2 for CPU. So there's 5 in total. They are the same type 4 connectors as they are called here. So you take 2 for the CPU, not PCU, CPU, and 3 for the gigantic video card, and you're good. So, and then you have some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for SATA and peripheral. So Molexes, SATA, stuff like that. Okay. So this goes in the bottom part of the case like this. And this case even has like a sort of a rubberized, well, they're stands, but they look like feet that go in opposite direction, rubberized stands for the power supply, which is very actually convenient. So now let's see if we at least connect the large one. Okay, without dropping the PSU in there. That's the large one in. And the small ones, the small ones, the additional CPU power. We can try and connect them too right now. Using, of course, the headers that are farther, because right now it's possible to reach them without a lot of hassle. But then when I start adding more cables, the farthest ones, yeah, they're going to be pretty hard to reach. So give me a short sec. There's another hole in here. Oops, power supply. I can route. Yeah, this goes diagonally. The length of them is not enough, so I guess it will be done like this, if you can see it. They go diagonally, or I can route them through this hole, which actually, but then I won't be able to keep them all together here like one big stem. Oh, no, they still will be diagonal one way or another. There's not enough length to make them just turn in 90 degrees. Okay, that was the camera stand. It's time to fix the power supply in place. Need a couple of large black screws, Imperial ones this time. I think I have two different types of them with different head sizes. Yeah. One head size, some of them are slightly larger than the others, which is not how I like things. Are they? No. Okay, I at least found four screws that are of the same size. Don't fall. I just need to keep you in one place for a little bit. Just like this. Then just like this. Then let's press it down slightly and fix it in place for good. And down, I mean that direction. Yeah, I'm I'm remembering that while I was testing this hardware, I tested this motherboard and CPU and memory like to absolutely crazy extent, but I wanted to be sure that everything 100% works before I assemble it and start using it as my main rig, because I hate to troubleshoot my main rig. Anything else, not a problem. 24/7 any day a week, but my main rig troubleshooting, that's supposed to just work. So, and while I was testing this motherboard, I was of course testing it on a bench, which was just that wooden kind of like small shelving thingy, and I totally forgot that the power supply unit had a fan on its bottom, and I put it on its bottom while was testing everything on the bench, and it spent like that with pretty much all air intake completely closed. Spent like that a couple days actually going through some tests with the motherboard. No, still works. Not this one, another one. So still works. And when I realized that I was actually running the system pretty hot with the power supply without any fresh air access, I turned it to the side immediately, and it wasn't really even that hot. Was kind of a little bit warmer than just warm. That's it. Okay. SATA. And not just that. I have a very annoying thing here. A front panel 2.5 drive cradle uses Molex power, which is extremely stupid, but that's what it does. So I will need one Molex here. So I'll have to route quite some cables to the top part of the case, just because of not just one SATA, but SATA and the Molex and whatnot. Should not forget about the what's called PCIe power for the video card, but that it's just a cable at the moment. So first let's connect everything that's connectable and installable. The hard drives, I will plug them in, the last ones. So SATA cables for the cage, and power for the drive cage. Here we go. And because I'm like that, I'm of course going to use the right SATA connectors for the right cage base. So the first cable, the first bay will be connected to the SATA slot 1, the second one to the SATA slot 2, and I will have to, of course, keep track of what goes where. But actually I can do it in proper manner. Just give me a second. Get one thing here. I have stickers to just put them on the wire and on the cables, in order to track what they are connected to keep track of that. So yeah, number ones, as you can see, 1 2 3 from this book of stickers, they get used pretty fast. So there's not a lot of ones left. There's 2 left. Okay, let's take number 1 from here. Where are you? So you're going to be number 1 till I decide to swap you for something else, if I actually ever go there. You're going to be number 2. You are number 2. I read the legend on the motherboard, still screen there. Which slots, which ports, SATA ports have which numbers. So I know the way they are enumerated. This is going to be number 2. Number 2, yeah. And that is it for 1 and 2. That is it for my knowledge of SATA port enumeration on this motherboard. The rest I need to read from motherboard again. So SATA 3 is the lower one. I absolutely don't like the fact that front panel cables, they're going to be entering this compartment from pretty much occupying pretty much the space for SATA connectors. But what are you gonna do? There's so much only space inside. So now we need number 3. Just like this. So now got to get them routed to the other side, because that's how this drive cage works. The back of the drives, they go towards that side of the case, so all connections are there on that side. So easy to actually get them tangled in here. Here we go. One's in, and the second one the same way. Just like that. Avoid twisting, avoid excessive bending. and avoid getting tangled. Here we go. So even though there's only going to be only 3 drives, only 2 drives in this cage here, the third bay of the cage should be ready to take another drive, should have a cable routed to it and power. So that's how we roll. I feel like letting them go under this cable would be a better idea. And then doing something like this. And then letting them go like this. So yeah, something like this. So for now you stay here. Let's fix you somehow to avoid losing you accidentally, catching you onto something and unplugging. Okay, now the front panel stuff, the front panel drive base. So this is one for 2.5. That's not the best thing on the market. That's what I have right now. I'll probably change it for something else, especially considering the fact that this card reader here is broken. Cannot use that. And this thing, which is actually way more convenient, looks like just a frame. Basically it is. So really convenient thing if you need to just drop in a 3.5-inch hard drive. So, and I actually never try hot swap. I always turn the power down. So there's that. So, and these are the cages for them. Well, I mean the base for the base. So, and I guess you're supposed to mount it like here. And then just let me show it to you. Oops. And then just slide one like yeah, easier said than done. Not sliding in at all. Yeah, and it's not going to. Oh boy, these are stupid. So you kinda show them like that. There. Nope. Doesn't work either way. Have to bend things pretty much. But some of the mounting points for the screws, they are not available with these cages inside the case. So that's the problem with them. Unless you mount them like that, unless they're not supposed to go not like that, but like that, or maybe still like that. doesn't actually look like it. Or maybe it does. So the screw holes align like that perfectly. Okay, let's take a look at the video, because I forgot it again. I forgot how it was. Did I close? I have a problem. Some people leave browser tabs open, all of them, and they keep like getting more and more and more of them till the browser starts crashing. I have a totally opposite problem. I close everything all the time. Okay. Sorry, not showing it to you. There's no sound. I can see it's mounted from inside. So the tabs, they're not supposed to go over the front panel. They are mounted inside. Okay, cool. So, and if we take this stuff and put it in here like this, and then we got to try to measure it, how far it's supposed to go, because there's front panel, you know, the whole front panel of the case. I'm just trying to figure out the distance of it. Feels like it has to be at this level. Got to test it, because that part will be actually pretty hard to redo. So let's throw a couple screws in and test if it's mounted. Like, test if the distance to the front panel is right. So yeah, there's definitely a problem with mounting this one on the other side. But no, actually, can add a couple screws here, I think. So because it's a frame, it's not really that rigid. Yeah, we'll need 4 screws even just to test it, because the bloody thing goes like this in the cage. So here we have one here. So kinda going to use, in the end, going to use all the screws here because this is going to hold hard drives. Actually should be able to withstand the forces of just putting hard drive in and then removing it. The door itself, it kinda activates the lever here that pushes the hard drive out. So that's all mechanical tension. That's all deformation. More or less even. Okay, let's see. So this used to be the top one. So I'm going to screw it in as the top one. And again, short screws for this part of the case. Oops. The hole was nowhere even close. Oops. Okay. Is it in place? More or less. Front panel. Let's see. Let's see how it goes with the front panel. Is it flush? Looks like it is going to be. That part is a little bit lower, but it's because the front of this drive cage, it's curved a little bit. So this is the right level, I think. This is the right level. That's how it's supposed to be. Oops. Maybe not. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. That's not how I think it's supposed to be. It stands out a little bit. Technically not a problem, but it's not flush. It's not flush on this side. And this thing, so it's supposed to be, yeah, one step further. There's like 2 rows of mounting holes, the closer one to the front panel and the farther one from the front panel, so we need another the farther row of mounting holes. So the front panel, now we got to remove it. and I actually locked it in very well.
Lounge FM continues to work thanks to this advertisement, which was purchased by our listeners. It helps us work and fill radio space with quality and wonderful lounge music.
Just trying to remove the front panel again.
Want to join in supporting your favorite radio station? Go to the official website, loungefm.com.
Really easy to click it in place.
To find out how you can
Really hard to actually disengage the locks. Plastic clips there. That's the problem with all black cases. Freaking dark in there. Okay. So gotta move it, gotta remove it. This drive bay, and gotta move it in its cage a little bit inside. Okay then. Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah, it was completely covered by the other camera view, which was in this case pretty pointless as well. So, as you can see, one row and another row. And here it's just an oval shaped mounting hole. So this we just free. This we remove completely. Now we just can move it back, because technically only one screw here is not slidable. Okay. Here we go. Now I think the length is right. I'm just looking at it. The length is right, and we should be able to finally mount it here. Let's try not to drop it on the fan. That's just right below it. That will be pretty problematic. That will create lots of problems. Okay, one's in. Another in. So yeah, my main rig kinda has a lot of functions. For example, like for testing hard drives. Well, now I'm going to have a spare PC for that. I technically already been using another PC for testing hard drives when I been working on that unread hard drive problem when drives, because of being pretty old and because of having tons of head parkings, unnecessary stuff, but it happened because I just didn't turn off that green energy saving, power saving function of parking drives, parking heads. So drives started to just one by one, 2 drives pretty much in a row started failing, and I was using another PC for testing them, but it wasn't running even Windows. It was running actually Unraid, a trial version of Unraid, because I was using an Unraid pre-clear procedure to like put them through their paces. Okay, one's mounted. Time to mount the second one. Again, the same approach. First the cage, then the rest. So this one, we don't need to have it like 100% fixed in there with like all 8 screws. So I'm going to use 4, but on this one I'm going to use 6. I'm going to add a couple. So again, using the second row here. Different cases, they have different ways of mounting the stuff. This case has like these rows. Some other cases would have just pretty big elongated oval shaped holes and stuff like that pretty much. Here we go. Lower here. Let's remount it. Going to be the lower one on this side. Like this. An upper one on this side. Not threading. What the hell? Come on. Start going in. Here we go. Was a little bit tight, but I don't think I cross-threaded that one. Doesn't really matter. Not that important in case of. It's actually it's actually a 3.5 inch slot device that's mounted inside 5.25 inch slot adapter, so mounted inside this drive cage for this case. I found pretty nice looking 525 drive bays on AliExpress. They are double drive bays. Somehow the manufacturers managed to fit in one slot for 3.5 drive and one slot for 2.5 drive levels, like one here and one here, and they even have like a couple USB 3s here. So, but 50 bucks. I ordered one. Well, 40. I ordered one. I will see how it goes. But I ordered it not for this case. I ordered it for my Unraid, because I pretty much want to have, well, I mean, I need to have front panel drive bays on every PC that I have, and every server, every computer. So currently my Unraid server is lacking 2.5 front panel drive bay, so cannot really plug in 2.5 drives like SSDs, SATA SSDs that easy. So and you go here like this. Yeah, cool, amazing. So stay in place, please. Oh, I think I'm going to have some loose screws. I used a couple short ones somewhere where they weren't supposed to be. Not going to be a big problem, because there's enough clearance to use like 10 centimeter, even a 10 centimeter screw if we had one. It just would be pretty would look pretty ridiculous. Here we go. So 2 more we need to put in, and these are going to be the long ones. So there's no like difference. I don't know why the case manufacturer didn't use the same length of these screws for all the case parts, like cages for the 5.25 inch devices, for the shrouds. Pretty much there's no difference by the look of it. Okay, this is mounted. So Now we have to route power and SATA. So this SATA, of course, not going to connect it like this. I pretty much got to route it back and see if it's even long enough. So that red SATA cable is already connected there inside. So I prefer to have a black one, but I'm not going to disassemble the whole thingy. This whole thingy here. So it's red, so yeah, stays red. Now got to try to get it inside. God knows where. Like maybe like this. Like this. I don't know if you can see it. So oh, this is actually pretty cool. The bloody red thing is long enough. The bloody red thing is long enough actually to be connected to these SATA ports, which is I welcome. Which I welcome, which is nice. Even so, it looks not really that good, but and it's going to be turning the slot, trying to turn the slot clockwise. So the routing problem. The routing problem is always a cable management, the most serious problem. Okay, what if we do it like this? Then we get a little bit more slack, so not perfect, but looks a little bit better. At least the cable is not like twisted on the back and then twisted on the front. So still not great, but not terrible. Again, cannot use these holes. There's going to be shroud here, completely dividing the compartments, so the power supply unit stays its own compartment in terms of airflow. Like the power supply unit airflow is like from this hole and back, and the case is like from the front, from the back, from the front, from the bottom here, in that direction. Well, pretty much part of it will be going in that direction, but the rest will be going through all the other holes and the top, because this is going to be positive pressure build, positive pressure case. We have 1, 2, 3 intake fans, and the fan that's the same power as one of these ones, the same airflow, the same CFM. So this is going to be then just positive pressure case. This one is just to facilitate exhausting the hot air that would be coming through the CPU cooler in that direction. So normally air, of course, so this is like it's all horizontal, so but the top's here. So normally, of course, air would just go from the bottom to the top. uh, but the problem in this case is that you cannot mount this cooler vertically. That'd be the most amazing solution in this case, but you cannot, just because the new LJ 150 slot 1700 slot actually works. Okay, we still have a ton of job to do. SATA power, Molex power here. We need actually two Molexes, at least two Molexes here. So then we need SATA here for this drive bay, front panel drive bay. Agent Mixer, good evening, welcome. And you know what? I think maybe we will continue that tomorrow, because after just connecting all the cables, there will be like an hour or two of just cable managing them on the back, because right now nothing's cable managed. So, and I want to have it pretty much very tight, because I believe you kind of give it some love, you do everything right once, and then it works for years. And I have a feeling that I'm not going to try to do anything to this computer unless of course it breaks. I'm not going to try to upgrade this one for the next 5 years. I mean, maybe another video card, maybe some peripheral devices, like maybe some other PCIe cards, something like that, hard drives, but not the main stuff. So so this is my new old rig. The case is of course from the previous build, because it's not a new build, it's an upgrade, but the motherboard's new, the CPU is new, and memory is new. So everything else, the video card 3060, that's not new, that's I've been using it for quite some time, but it was kinda, I've been switching, throwing it in another computer, then returning back to my 1080, then going back to 3060. So and this is not pretty, this has to be managed properly. So yeah, this is an upgrade, new motherboard, new CPU, new memory. The rest of the stuff stays the same. So I think it's enough for today. Yeah, it's already almost 6 a.m. here. I started late, tried to start early, couldn't. I started late, so I'll try to finish. Why do I actually want to finish it a little bit early here today? Because tomorrow, if everything goes according to the plan, I'm going to again participate in some musical madness at Nicolas, so on Space Melody Lab channel. I absolutely don't want to miss that. Plus we are going to work on some hardware upgrade there, so we'll need time. So that's why it's better for me not to stay all the way up to like 11 a.m. and it's 6 a.m. already almost. So let's call it a day here, continue tomorrow around the same time. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I forgot to mention, this hardware has been tested many times. There is a really low probability that it just won't post after I plug it in. So I've tested it several times. There's even a stream of literally torturing it with all sorts of loads at the same time. Streaming, DayZ, superposition, Unigen superposition test, LeanPack, doing crazy math in the background, and OBS streaming it all. So you can find it actually in my video, still there, unnumbered stream, because it was just a test run. So we will continue this build tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah, I don't want to just try to figure it all out in one day. There's no need for that. Well, I mean, it'd be nice, but there's no need for that. Already it already has taken a ton of time, so if it's just one day more, not going to change anything in that relation. So let's find somebody to raid, and yeah, call it a day. Just give me a short sec. Just give me a short second. Agent Mixer, Willie D, thank you people for jumping in. Let's see if we can rate somebody doing something interesting in science and technology section. Just a second. Science and technology seem to be unfortunately empty. Not really empty. There's a couple. I cannot even see like real people there. Okay, let's see. Nobody is doing PC building on Twitch right now. That's sad. There is flow cytometry remote monitoring. Oh, the flow cytometer. Don't remember the right name for it. We almost bought that device once. It's a big thing. So, and there is the whole section of science and technology is full of automated streams, automated cameras, just showing something. That's not interesting. Like some monitors, some like almost surveillance looking cams. So, not really that interesting. So again, let's then return back to the land of DayZ. I need my following page. Or the land of gaming. I wanted to say. Chickens and earthquakes. Yeah, exactly. Monitoring chickens and monitoring earthquakes. Yeah, not really that interesting. So, there's a person that I haven't seen streaming in a while. they're playing something really strange. Let's go and take a look at Double Perfect KO's channel. I hope I can read them. They're playing a game called Ghosts of Tabor. Is it even a real name? It looks like it is a virtual reality game. It looks like they're using headsets because it looks janky as hell. See you all tomorrow. We'll continue the build tomorrow, but first there will be a stream on Space Melody Lab channel in the evening, your European evening, a little bit later, a little bit earlier even that evening, so somewhere around evening times and the end of afternoon. Then on my channel it's going to be around like normal times. We'll continue the build. See you all tomorrow. Goodbye and good night. Thank you very much for watching again.